Start. Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. Welcome to MFSN, the Hub's fantasy baseball strategy show. Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, or today, 4:13 p.m. Eastern, 1:13 p.m. Pacific. Thank you. I'm Dr. Dan Ratner, and I'm here as always with Casey Vlad to the Bone Scheinwald and Ross the Boss.
Welcome, Ross the Boss, coming to you live from La La Land, California, and I'm excited. We just had the All-Star game. I just woke up. Boring. I mean, boring game. Paul Ski's stud. Paul Ski, future Cy Young winner. Paul Ski's future Hall of Famer. Take that, Casey Scheinfold. I will put my neck on the line and say if he plays at least 6-7 years, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. What do you think, Casey?
Oh, 6-7 years.
It's got to be at least 10 years.
Okay,
it's got to be at least 10.
At least, but I mean, he's on a great trajectory, but it's really early. And for those of you who, don't speak Ross, he was saying Paul Skeens, just making sure that was known.
Paul Skeens. But so, I mean, do you guys watch the All-Star game? I mean, I usually don't watch those type of things, but I wanted to see him pitch.
I used to watch when I was a kid. I would always love that, getting to see all the stars on the teams, but there's right now it doesn't feel like there's much to watch.
Okay,
when was the last time you watched the All-Star game?
I watched it Tuesday.
The last one I remember watching,
yes,
was when Torrey Hunter robbed Barry Bonds of the home run in the tie game.
Oh yes,
with Bud Selig, and they declared it a tie and didn't give out an MVP.
A complete disaster for Bud Selig.
That's the last one I remember watching.
Not on his highlight reel, but
no.
Paul, again, it was watching those games is tough, but it's my favorite All-Star out of all the All-Star stuff, like NBA, NHL, NFL, and MLB. MLB is my favorite one. Does that make any sense?
I think it not only makes sense. I completely agree. I mean, I even though I haven't been watching it in recent years, I think there is something special about it. And baseball is also kind of just a more relaxed game. Yeah. So you can just go there and just enjoy the atmosphere. It's a different thing. I mean, I think we all know that I don't know much about the NHL one, but the All-Pro game is completely ridiculous. I mean,
no, it's like football.
The NBA All-Star game is like 160 to 149 because they don't even pretend to play.
No, I mean, you could put Dr. Dan Ratner out there and he can take shots and let him shoot threes. They don't care. They'll just let anybody shoot.
Each All-Star game has its own iconic kind of piece to it. You got the slam dunk contest is it has down years, but it's been like
you could argue that the slam dunk contest is better than the game itself.
Oh, it absolutely is. I think the home run derby is better than the baseball game itself.
I agree.
I think the skills competition in the NHL is better than the All-Star game itself.
The home run derby, just so you guys know, I mean, I felt another thing was like no one was hitting bombs. It was all like just barely over the fence. It was boring. It was
a pitcher's duel.
It was just like wasn't like you didn't have the Sosa versus McGuire thing going on.
It was a good. I want to see guys like in San Francisco because there wouldn't have been a lot of home runs. Thank God they were in Arlington.
They had a good home running contest in San Francisco. They were hitting that bay. There were people.
Oh, I know, but this year
it was boring. It was boring. It was bad. It wasn't good.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about fantasy at this point in the season.
Yes.
We're hitting the All-Star break. I used to see this as like, I hated when the All-Star break would come because I was so hungry for the everyday experience. Now days go by so fast. It's like, okay, we're going to be back from it soon. Now we're at a point where we're basically close to 2/3 of the way through the season. People think of the All-Star break as halfway, but we're close to 2/3. So this is kind of important because when you're looking at numbers and you're trying to evaluate how good of a player is, you can't just double it and say, oh, we're halfway there. He's going to do this the second half of the season. We're further along than that. But what are you guys thinking about in terms of your teams? You can talk about your specific teams or just teams in general.
Well, for me, this is the hardest part of the season, especially in daily leagues, for me to stay as engaged as I need to because it's a grind. And I find myself missing days where I don't set my lineup if I'm not very routinized or structured in how I do it. And so especially like Thursday is a big day for me because I have kids, you have kids, your weekends can get lost in a blink and you haven't set your lineup. So what I do really carefully on Thursdays is make sure I'm setting my starting pitchers also for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because I hate when it's like Sunday and I look up, it's 3:00 and I'm like, crap, I missed 3 starters for today who are sitting on my bench, regardless of how well they do. So weekly leagues, it's a little different, obviously, but in daily leagues, this is the hardest part of the season for me with regards to the grind of making sure I'm staying on top of setting my lineups.
Yeah, and I'll just add, one of the things that has helped me is to make sure that I'm in leagues that I'm excited about. If you're in a league you're not excited about, you're much more likely to go down that path and just be like, oh, I forgot about it. Right? When we played fantasy basketball, I would forget to set my lineup virtually every week. And it's just, I just didn't care enough. But it's one of
you do it in fantasy hockey.
Because you know why? Because I did care enough there, because I was like, well, this is a new experience. Let me see if I can win it. And then I did, and now I'm on a streak. I'm going streaking. So the only one who stopped me was Ross's son. One final. He managed to beat me, but I've won 3 out of 4 years. I can't stop that.
No, can't stop. But
I don't know. There's something about that sport that just fits better than with basketball. But in baseball, and I encourage everybody to do this, if you're not feeling like you like a league, you might want to think about either starting your own league or thinking about a different setup. We shifted to what is essentially a dynasty league, but it's more of like a big keeper league, because we wanted to have the draft matter. And it's really helped me keep up my interest. Like, I'm just really into it. We can even talk about the latest trade I made if you guys want to.
I forgot, guys, remind me who's in first place. I totally forgot.
Oh my God, it's Ross the Boss, isn't it?
Okay, thanks.
You weren't. Chris Atwater was, in fact. Our guest here today was in first.
Yeah,
but not anymore.
Word Casey Schoenfeld. Yeah,
that's right.
But
so
yes,
right now, Ross, you're winning by 0.5. But
so what?
No,
I'm winning. I'm winning. So let's talk fantasy baseball.
Having lost the league by half a point, I can tell you that every half point matters.
Time when you clean up your team, when you take the players that you don't want on your team, you waive them, and you pick up a few new players. I mean, I encourage trading. Dan, you made a big trade in the past couple of days.
Yep.
And you got
this
you got
was in the Yahoo League.
No, this is no.
Oh, did you miss the trade in the Dynasty?
Any attention at all? I mean, Dan traded away some of his waiver wire guys that he picked up recently for Harper, and I love that look at Dan. The look at Ratner is priceless. It's priceless. The look on your face, it's priceless. Mm-hmm. But I mean, but that's a good example. I'm just bringing it up just because it's a good time to pick up new people. Look at, if it's rotisserie, look at the positions that you're weak at. Let's say stolen bases. Let's say, and try to improve at those areas, because this is the time you have to do it. I mean,
it's a great point, Ross. And one of the reasons I did make that trade is I was evaluating what positions am I weakest at. I'm behind in innings. I needed to pick up a great starter. I needed first base production. And what I figured is Bryce Harper is only 31. So
31.
He's got some big years ahead of him. I figured, fine, I'll buy in for the next 3 or 4 years. And it's not, and I gave up Tristan Casas, who was my first baseman of the future, but I'd rather have the first baseman of the present. Yeah. And I gave up Ohtani, the pitcher, who will be back next year.
Who knows if he'll ever pitch again?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
That's how we call him in the business, but yes, he got Glass now, who will never ever be a pitcher that got more than 110 innings in a season.
He's going to give the greatest 110 innings ever, and I'll take it.
Okay.
I did give up Nolvi Marte. I was just ready to, after the suspension and him not performing, I could end up regretting that. Ross, you're the Reds guy. Tell me if I'm going to regret that.
I hope you do regret it, but I don't, he hasn't been playing that well. He's not hitting his weight.
But he will.
I love the Reds have this guy. The Reds have Rhys Hines. I think Rhys Hines is the future in at third base.
You're really into him. Yep.
His position. This guy's the real deal. I mean, he'll strike out, he'll do what he does, but he's going to have home runs. 40. But
an underrated part of that deal that fits with what you just said, Ross, is I sent him Ranger Suarez, who I just don't trust anymore. He pitched great. I don't trust him
pitching over his head. 100%. So, you're great. It was a good trade on your part.
And rather than cut him and get no value, I'll stick him in a deal and hope that he brings some value. And his numbers still look great, but I don't trust him at all. So and let's talk about players that it's time to cut ties with. Ross, you do this around around Memorial Day,
This-
but now it just speeds up. Who are the guys that you're ready to just one way to do it, by the way, is you can look at their preseason numbers and see how they rank.
Okay, I mean, I'll tell you, I've waived on my teams recently that are big names, and these are all of them are redraft leagues, so they're not dynasties. So don't yell
Yeah,
at me.
you don't
why did
waive guys
why
like that in
did you?
Dynasty.
So shortstop for Toronto, I got rid of him. I just waived him. I mean, somebody I waived a few weeks ago, but now he's starting to hit, so I kind of he was available again. Is Suarez of the Diamondbacks. I feel that he is hitting really well the past couple of weeks.
Eugenio?
Yeah, I picked him up. I picked him up, but he was somebody that I did waive.
Guess who
I want to say a name. I want a name, and you're going to laugh at me, but I did waive him in a couple of leagues. I just did it because of spite. I did a spite waive, and I'll tell you who I did. He was my first pick in the draft in my first round. Corbin
Julio
Carroll.
Rodriguez?
I waived Corbin Carroll.
Carroll.
These are all redraft leagues. Julio Rodriguez
does
not being waived.
No, of course not. No. I wasn't saying in the dynasty league.
He's not having his season's not that bad. Look at his average. Look at his stolen bases. He's just not up to here yet.
Yeah,
but Corbin Carroll.
What about someone like Matt Olson?
Yeah, would you waive Matt Olson in a redraft?
Matt Olson, that's a good one. So Matt Olson, no, I would hold on to him. He has runs, and he is going to pick it up in the second half. He's somebody I have confidence.
Well, here's the other thing about Matt Olson. I mean, first base is pretty thin, actually. I think in a lot of ways. So yeah. I would not waive Matt Olson either.
No,
what about you?
I have confidence that he's going to get second
half. No, I don't think I would waive him. But 229.
But you're not happy with him.
Yeah. Same with Adolis Garcia.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the season, I'm going to be looking for those 2-for-1 deals. For somebody's going to take.
How about Randy Rosarena? What do you guys do with him? I have a dynasty league, and I've been starting him as up over 200, but he's not hitting the home runs like he used to. He's doing okay, but redraft league, do you waive him or do you get rid of him or do you just hold on to him and just be in misery the whole season?
I mean, he's still almost on pace to be 30-30, but he's batting 200. That's where you run into problems. Yeah. He's not driving in runs.
Let's also say, to be fair, he's more on pace to be about 22. He is down as well.
Well, he's got 12 home runs, 14 stolen bases.
Yeah, but I mean, he easily could get to 30-30. And I think you've got to hold on to a guy like Randy Rosarena. You can't. I know it's miserable, but you've got to hang on to guys with that level of talent or trade them.
I agree, and especially in August and September, because that's when he shines. I mean, he's really like hit in August and September.
Yeah, but remember to pay attention to your waiver wire, because there are going to be guys who will cut these guys, and you won't have seen it if you're not paying attention. So you just make sure you pay attention. We do have a couple comments coming in from Chris Atwater. He says, I think most of the guys at the Open, he's talking golf.
British Open. The Open is British.
This is your
No, we call it the Open. If you're in the golf business like me and Atwater, we call it the Open. No one calls it the British Open anymore. Yeah, no one calls it the British
I was clarifying so people didn't confuse it.
No, he says, I think most of the guys don't know what it is to get it.
No, he says, I think most of the guys at the Open are just excited about playing golf in winter hats and long sleeves. Tournament off to a great start so far. Okay, back to baseball. And then he says this, and this one I really enjoy. If you have Berrios, you need to let him go. So, Chris, I know you know why I enjoy this, because Berrios burned me so badly last year that I said I would never draft him again. Didn't. Then he started off really pretty well for you. And you got great numbers out of him, but I agree. It's time to cut bait with Berrios. I would have cut bait with him even a long time before.
Toronto's just awful. Yep. I wish I could say something good. The only guy I have from Toronto in our fantasy league is Kikuchi, and I like Kikuchi, but I don't trust him. I don't start him every game. He's not trustworthy. Chris Atwater, I've been watching. I woke up early to watch the Open. It's exciting. That's my favorite golf tournament, and it's a major. I'm Colin. No, who did I pick? I forgot who I picked to win it.
I never knew.
Colin Matamora. I think Colin Matamora did. He's an American guy.
We should play a game, and it should be how many current golfers can I name? Now, if you want to play the game of how many golfers I can name from 1986, I'll probably do better.
Yeah.
but I think it's
Yeah.
probably not entertaining for the viewers. All right,
Yeah,
back
Colin
to
Morikawa was good, but
back to players that I'd be ready to cut. I cut Nolan Arenado like a month ago.
yeah,
and he's just washed up. It looks like in terms of his power numbers, he's not going to do much. What's going on with Cody Bellinger? What's his injury status?
He hurt his finger. He hurt his little index finger.
middle
He's on
finger.
the-
no.
Middle finger.
He's on
his
the,
left
he's on the
hand.
middle finger. I can't do the middle finger on this thing. I can't show that. I
Yeah,
can show
no, it's a family show. Family
They're
show.
saying
the
up
family
to
show.
4
I'm not
weeks.
going to do it.
But
Yeah, he hurt his finger and he's out
We
for
called
like
him a bust for a reason.
Yeah.
uh,
Who else?
I
Who else will you cut? Let's name a couple other players. Then let's name some people that you would trade for, because we're coming up soon to the actual Major League Baseball trade deadline, and in most leagues, your trade deadline is usually not going to be the same as Major League Baseball, but it's coming up soon. So let's first talk about players you would cut. Case you got anybody in mind?
Mullins of Baltimore. Cut him immediately.
Well, he should have been cut
Cedric.
4 months
Goodbye,
ago. He should have never been drafted, if you asked me.
How
But,
dare you?
I remember you were really, really down on him. How about Michael Harris, the second? Would you cut him?
would I cut him?
I might. It depends on the
Michael Harris, the
circumstances.
first time-
Consider it.
Michael
But
Harris
Adolis
is second.
Garcia, I might cut at this point.
I
Okay,
wouldn't
good.
cut Adolis Garcia. He just has too much potential.
Okay, keep going.
I think you could. We talked about Arenado.
George Springer.
Yeah, you can
Cut.
cut. If anybody still believes in Alex Bregman, I think you can cut him. Gleyber Torres the same way.
Do you cut Royce Lewis? What's his situation?
Oh,
When are you coming back, Ace?
I don't know. He's my new Byron Buxton, who, by the way, now is playing well.
Also a twin.
Who's also playing well now. I don't. They're saying that he's still a few weeks away at least. So,
All right,
here cut him in a redraft league, sure.
Here's some other people in redraft leagues to cut. Paul Goldschmidt. I think you can certainly
Yep.
part ways with
He'll
him.
be traded. He'll be traded. No, wait, don't cut him so quick. He could be traded.
Oh,
to
you
a
think he's going to
contender.
pick it up after he's traded?
I think that could happen. So don't be so quick at trading him. I think he'll be.
He still
he'll be
runs
gone by
for
the
first
deadline.
baseman. That helps, but
What about Christopher Morel? I'm not even sure how many
Cut
people.
him. Cut his batting
I would
average
cut
is
him.
horrible.
Yeah.
yeah.
He has
He's
a
been
little
so
power.
bad
He
for a
still
long
has
time.
two bases, but I mean, he's just not that great.
All right. Chris Atwater says, which starting pitchers are currently hot and will keep it going through the end of the season? This feels to me like a Tanner Hawk question because he's a Red Sox player. Chris loves the Red Sox. I traded Hawk to him with Michael Harris, actually. And that was for, who was that? Scooball, I think?
That was a good trade for you.
I like Scooball.
Hawk got rocked in the All-Star game. I don't know if you saw that. He got rocked.
Did he?
The Red Sox, I bet.
I
them to
actually
make
think
the
Cutter
playoffs.
Crawford's probably the hotter pitcher right now.
Not
for
this
the
year.
Red Sox.
Oh, well.
Okay, well, Ranger Suarez, I think I don't think he's clearly done to me. Tanner Hawk looks like he's going to keep it up, but probably not at the level that he's been at. Who else do you think is going to fade, guys?
Gonna fade?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Like, is Christopher
naming a lot of
Sanchez? Christopher Sanchez, I think he would be a pretty high candidate to fade some.
I worry that Chris Sale is one of those guys who might fade because he hasn't thrown a tremendous amount of innings in the past few years.
You think he could get dead arm or
and
something?
he's already at 110.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's been one of the 3 or 4 best pitchers in baseball so far, but I worry he can't keep it up. Seth Lugo in Kansas City has been somebody who's been really hot. I don't know if he'll keep it up.
Yep.
We're all going to mention Garrett Crochet, who's been maybe the most valuable pitcher in baseball in the first half because of where you could get him and what he's given you.
Yep.
But he's never been a starter before.
Yeah, and the White Sox are just horrible.
You've already seen Luis Heel in New York start to crap the bed.
This will make
How
Ross
about
smile, I'm sure.
Machado? How about Machado in San Diego? Do you waive him, Case, or you just?
Are you back on
play
hitters?
him?
He's back on hitters.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I still believe in Machado.
Oh, yes. I remember Chris Atwater is correcting me on the trade because we traded another trade. It was Tanner Bybee for Harris and Hawk. I don't know. I don't know about that. I decided to go ahead and get my Guardian that strikes out more people, and I just didn't know if Hawk would be able to keep it up.
I don't know.
I'm still calling the Cleveland the Indians. I decided to. That's another thing I decided today. I'm calling the Guardians the Indians. I'm not falling for the trap.
What are your thoughts on Flaherty, who's been awesome in Detroit, but
Ooh.
another one who's been hurt so many years. Do you think he can?
I would just keep riding him. I feel like
Do you think he's going to maintain it?
I do think he's.
I
gonna
think
maintain
he'll
it for
be a
this season.
Dodger. I think he'll be in the trading block, and I see him coming to Los Angeles, where he's from.
This will
or
probably crack
he'll-
you guys up. I think you ride him out this year, he's going to do great the rest of this year. Next year, he's going to be one of my busts because
Hold on, I'm writing
you
that down.
just don't know what
Yeah.
you're going to get from him.
Yeah.
As some of it depends
Yeah.
on where he shows
Dan
up. I
Ratner,
don't want him
bust.
to. I don't
Jack
want it to
Flaherty.
happen, but he's writing
Jack
it down.
Okay,
He's
just-
writing it
I
down. He's
got it.
making an argument.
No, I'll just wait till I'm
You
waiting.
and Cocoa Puffs.
I'm just waiting. I just wait. I'm like a little
wait.
vulture. I just wait.
Yep. Well, I think we've covered some of the pitchers we think would fade now.
And also,
Chris-
I would say Cortez of the Yankees. I would say Rodon of the Yankees. We're all fade. They're all already showing their true colors. They're not that very good, Casey Scheinfeld.
Yep.
And I think Garrett Cole's going to pick it up. I think he'll be good. But I think the Baltimore Orioles, I think they're going to actually win that division. What do you think, Casey? Do you think they will, or do you think your Yankees?
I think
will
if they use some of that young talent they have to bring in a starter, then yes, I think they can. I don't trust Kimbrel. I just don't. So that worries me there. So if they could get a bullpen arm, but they have a more complete team than the Yankees do. They just do. They're more dynamic at multiple positions than the Yankees are. The Yankees have, the Orioles have Gunnar Henderson, who's amazing,
MVP?
top 3 in the MVP. if not the
MVP. Okay.
The Yankees have Judge and Soto. And so the Yankees are better with their best 2 players versus Henderson and Rutschman. But then numbers 3 through 8 in the lineup are Orioles at this point.
Now they're
And
comparing
that's-
Soto's asking for a lot of money, and they're comparing it to Dr. Dan Ratner's salary that he makes a year. How much money Soto's making? Is there any truth in that?
It is true that they're comparing it. It's not true that there is a comparison. It's,
Unfortunately, it's not a comparison of close sums. It's just a comparison.
Okay.
Hours worked.
It's like imaginary numbers
versus income.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay.
All right, let's flip this around now. I want to talk about pitchers that you would think about acquiring who have just they've underperformed this year, but you really like where they're headed, or you think that they're going to do well the rest of the year. I'll throw out one. Luis Castillo looks like somebody to really pounce on. He hasn't been that good, but he can be that good.
I have 3. Luis Castillo was one. I had Pablo Lopez as another one.
Pablo was on my list.
And Logan Webb in San Francisco. I think those 3
I've been trying to get Pablo Lopez from in our league, but some idiot holds him and he won't freaking trade it to me.
I'm not getting rid of him.
Definitely not going to happen. I have a question though. I don't really know how to regard Kevin Gausman at this point. What are you guys thinking about him?
Wave him.
Oh, I wouldn't waive him. I bet on him in the second half.
I'm betting on him.
I'm hoping he gets traded.
Dead arm.
I'm betting on him, but he's going to kill me.
Yeah.
Listen, Ross, I am wary. I am wary about him for sure.
Dead arm. His speed is way down. I would cut him immediately. He would not be on my team. Atwater agrees with me with that too.
All right. Well, we'll see what Atwater says. He does say Michael Harris the second is free for now because he's on the IR. That's a good point. And then he says, I like Fetty and Fat down the stretch. Your opinion. Also, cut Verdugo at this point. I would say yes. I would cut Verdugo. I like Brandon Pfaadt.
I don't. His ERA is too high for me, and Arizona's could make the playoffs. They're playing a lot better. The Diamondbacks are like every year they surprise me, but no, Pfaadt. No, I don't want him on my team. Casey, would you take him in our league?
I wouldn't trade for him, no. But if I had him, I would hold on to him.
That's more how I feel. I'm not going out to trade for him. What about Fetty? What do you guys think about him?
There are certain players who I don't get. His numbers have certainly been good. But again, if I'm trading for somebody, they got to give me strikeouts, and he doesn't give me strikeouts.
No, I would stay away. I don't think
I think he's good for your ratios, but not good for your counting stats.
Well, and this is another big thing, especially if you're in rotisserie. But even if you're in a head-to-head, you really got to think about stats.
Well, here's the answer to everything, just like it is in psychology, is it depends, right? So we're at the point in our season where it's not enough to look at your current stats, your current standings. You have to look at the full standings in Yahoo, because what you can determine is where you can make up points and where you can't. If you're already 45 home runs behind catching the next guy in home runs,
don't trade for home runs.
You don't look for home runs. In fact, you might be able to dump a power hitter you have and get someplace where you have a ratio. So if I have a big number of strikeouts, but I need, to catch up in WHIP or ERA, I might want to do that. If my WHIP and ERA, because at this point, if you've thrown the amount of innings you're supposed to have thrown by the end of July, you're not going to change your WHIP and ERA between now and the playoffs much more than maybe 0.2 of a point at most, and probably less, maybe 0.1 of a point. I'm looking at where I can make up the counting stats. And so Fedde doesn't move the needle for me there, because he's not a strikeout guy who's going to catch up in strikeouts, and he's on the White Sox, so he's not going to get me wins.
I mean, to me, and I think he's still a hold probably if you have him, because he's pitched well, but I would really be looking to trade him, as you guys know, in a 2-for-1 deal. Cat's out of the bag. I'm always trying to do that. But it's because it opens up spots, and it's for the exact point that Ross is making. This is the time in the season to take a chance on certain people. You got to just go for it. Find the value that's out there now. And sometimes, by the way, that can come in multiple forms. Our cover boy today, I decided it should be Carlos Correa. Unfortunately, he is a little dinged up right now. But at the same time, he's one of those veterans that's really putting up numbers at a position that has been tough for some people. And you can trade for him probably for pretty cheap. And, and you can do it in a 2-for-1 deal. So let's say you have somebody who's a lesser shortstop and you put Fedde in there with him, and you send it for Carlos Correa, you make an upgrade there, and then you get a roster spot, and you use it for something else. So unlike Ross thinks, I don't actually try to trade the people from the waiver wire. I try to trade the people on my roster to make space.
No
pick
sense
up
of humor.
somebody
No sense of humor. Yeah,
Yes,
we know that. We
I
tease
know.
you, Dan, because you have a habit sometimes of putting guys you freshly pick up on the waiver wire in a trade.
The amazing thing, though, Ross, is that you never played with me when I was doing that, but I did do it. Guilty as charged. It's true. But I try not to do it now. Now,
Casey, he admitted he's wrong. I mean, he admitted to something that in the past. Okay, Casey,
I try to. Let's talk about hitters that you would trade for. Who are the hitters that are out there? Because really, this is especially on the All-Star break where there's no new numbers happening right now.
Yeah, it's not Corbin Carroll. I'll tell you that much. I don't want him on my team. I'll tell you that.
It is unbelievable. I can't believe how badly he's done.
Horrible, and I have no faith in him. He's going to pick it up at all after the All-Star break. You guys brought him up earlier, and I have faith in him. Is Matt Olson? I really think he's going to pick it up, and I think he'll probably lead. I think he'll get up to 30 and over by the end of the year. 12, I think, right now. I feel if I had to pick any player in the National League who's going to pick it up, I think it's Matt Olson. That's my guess. I still think Atlanta's going to win the East too, even though they're banged up and they're missing their two best players. I think in the East. Casey Scheinfeld, do you agree or disagree?
Atlanta's not going to win the East. The Phillies are going to win the East.
I think they'll beat the Phillies. That's my prediction.
Ooh, we're going to track this. We're going to track this. Let's see. Chris Atwater says a good example of what you guys are talking about would be me sacrificing some steals for some power. Exactly. Chris, I don't even know how many steals you have because you have Ellie De La Cruz. So you have like 180 steals or something like that. And yes, it would be, I mean, obviously you don't want to trade Cruz for it, but you would trade, a lot of your other guys. And
I guess you're talking about who we bet on in the second half. Again, it's hard for me to look at it generically because I'm looking at it in terms of, well, if I need runs, I'm looking at, an Anthony Volpe type, a leadoff for one of the more potent offenses who's lower in the rankings because he's only batting 245, but he's in the top 15 in runs scored. He's stealing 30 bags. He's on pace to steal 30 bags. Like if I want RBIs, I don't know. I'll be looking for somebody like Vinny Pasquantino, who you can get cheap because he's not doing great, but he's got 62 RBIs on the season. So
You got to play the stats at this point. You got to know where
that's,
you are in the standings and play.
you know,
the
you're
stats.
not going to go out.
Vinny-
Would I
Vinny's
love to go out and
RBIs.
get? Would I love to go out and get Shohei Ohtani? Yeah, absolutely. But you're not getting him, so you got to look for the ones who you might be able to get. You know, Willie Adames is somebody you can get if you need RBIs, even though he's not a big name, but he's banging in runs for the Brewers left and right. He's up to 67 so far. So you got to look where you are and then who's underperforming, but helps you in the one category or two categories you really need.
Well, and look, it also could be if you're willing to give up big time players, you can get big time players. I mean, let's say you're looking at Aaron Judge and his 85 RBIs at this point. You can get him, but you're going to need to give up somebody. It's huge.
You're going to need to give
up
up multiple.
Yeah, it's not a good time to trade for Judge or Ohtani.
No, definitely not. But I'll tell you, it's better to trade for Judge than to try to trade for Marcell Ozuna.
Ross, if you're in a redraft league, and you need power in RBIs, and you have Chris Atwater's lead in steals, do you trade Ellie De La Cruz for Aaron Judge?
Yeah, that's the kind of deal I had in mind.
You know,
the thing is
trade Ellie De La Cruz and
Ellie strikes out a lot, and he kills you in average. At least will probably have 30 home runs. I mean, his power.
But he won't have 60 and 160.
But in a redraft league, look, Chris Atwater. This is in Dynasty, but if he had 124 steals, he's that far ahead of everybody. You definitely trade Ellie De La Cruz for Aaron Judge. You even your team out. You already made your gains there, and I think that's a huge part of the game right now.
I get it. No, I'm a big Reds fan, so I'm very biased. So you're
But that's why I'm asking you, because I know you're biased. But if we're looking redraft, like if I need steals and I'm crushing in power, let's say not only do I have Aaron Judge already, but I have Ozuna and I have Jose Ramirez.
Yes, in a redraft league, yes.
Would I trade Aaron Judge for Ellie De La Cruz? And the answer has to be yes, even though I'm a Yankees fan.
Yep. You got to know where
he's having a great year, and we don't talk about him at all. And he won the MVP. That's Christian Yelich of Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, this guy last week. I know.
I think he did. Yeah, and he bases too. I mean, he has like 20 something stolen bases. It's not like he doesn't steal. I mean, he steals. He's
one of those players. We knew if you take a chance. We knew if you take a chance on him, you could hit big, and the people who did. Definitely have. Chris Howard is making a point that I'm sure we're all going to agree with. Redraft, maybe Dynasty, no way. You would never trade De La Cruz for Judge in Dynasty or even in a keeper league. Probably for anybody, yeah. But in a redraft league, yeah, I think it all depends on the stats. Now, it is the All-Star break, so nobody's really pitching, but I got to ask anyway, who's your annoying closer of the week? It could be anybody. All of them? That's what we usually say. None of them. You know what? That's one thing that the All-Star break's really great for. No closers are actively annoying me. Thank you. I appreciate that. You're looking for somebody else.
I'm going to say somebody too. Go Case.
I'm going to say Tanner Scott. Not because he's pitching awesome, and this is a guy who.
Then why are you saying him? Tell me.
Was terrible last year, and nobody looked at to pick up or draft or anything.
So he's annoying to you because you don't have him. Is that what's going on?
Well, because he's bipolar in his pitching.
Yes, right. I get it.
You know, like he's awesome right now. So if I had him, I would sell the heck out of him because this 6 days off during the All-Star break means he could have a 5 ERA and 14 blown saves in the next 2 months.
Yeah,
that's probably true. All right, Ross, who do you got?
I was Saturday. I decided there's nothing on TV, so I turned the Dodger game on, and they were winning like 9-5, I think, in the 9th inning, and they bring Phillips in, the closer for the Dodgers, and he I mean, he gave up all these runs, gave up a home run, got destroyed, and I'm not a Dodger fan, but just to watch them implode like that was the best. I loved it. Detroit won the game. They won the series, and it was the best. It was the best thing to watch. I love watching the Dodgers lose. It was the greatest game ever. So Phillips to me is Phillips to me is the loser of the week when it comes to closers. There you go.
Yeah, for me, it was Craig Kimbrell. You know, he had been great.
What did he do?
He just he had a blow up. You know, he 3 runs and 4 hits or something like that. You know,
Alexis Diaz Alexis Diaz is the new Fernando Rodney, by the way.
I think that's a very good comparison.
You know, he's
horrible.
top 10 in
I
saves.
warned Dan. I warned
Top
him.
10 in
Yes.
saves, but he's getting you saves, but his peripherals are awful.
Chris,
and if you
Chris
remember
Atwater, speak of the devil.
Yeah, Fernando Rodney used to have like 38 saves, but a 4.7 ERA and a 1.
Remember Fernando Rodney with the hat? He wore the hat like on the side.
Oh,
He
yeah.
did
He
the
looked
arrow
like
celebration
complete
every
idiot.
time he got a
Flat
close.
and straight to the side. And by the way,
Yeah.
his ERA was often over 5. I mean, he
Yeah.
was truly
Yeah,
unpitchable.
and now
but
he's
you
back
just-
in the Dominican selling cars.
Is that right?
What's
right,
this
so-
guy saying? Diaz and Suarez. Anyways,
Hasn't
yeah,
Suarez
yeah.
been really good? Has he been not good lately? I mean, this is the thing about closers. They're always going to do things to you late.
I don't the San Diego close. I don't pay attention. I don't care.
In any case, guys, let's shift gears for a second because we've got football coming up soon.
Yeah!
Football is going to be coming in August on MFSN. That's where we start doing our previews, probably even in the first week of August. We're 2 weeks away from that.
That's crazy.
And yeah, I mean, we're going to keep up baseball through July, through parts of August, and support your waiver wire and all that stuff about who you need to pick up. But I know a lot of people are starting to turn the page already, and this is one of the things that you actually have to watch out for in baseball. And I mean, to your advantage, there's going to be some people, they're already thinking fantasy football right now. They're not thinking about baseball anymore. And you can take advantage of that because they're going to miss who's on the wire. And the problem is they probably won't respond to trades. So that sucks.
Ross, over under. New York Giants, 4.5 wins.
Under. Sorry, Case. I'm sorry.
You know why he's responding that way, Ross? He's responding that way because he knows you're right.
I mean, Casey.
But Ross picks
Casey,
lines and outcomes better than anybody I've met. So I was hoping.
Yeah,
Ross is really good with that. It's true.
It's going to be a tough year. I mean, I think my pick in the NFC to win the Super Bowl. I'll just say to win the Super Bowl, not just to win the NFC. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions. I love the Lions, and I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. So get your bets in now. And I think Goff is going to be get your bet in that Atwater immediately. Those are my predictions. I can go. I can hit the ball far, and those guys. I think those are big bets. If they come in, that'd be great. But
yeah.
The Lions, to me, I think is the best team in the NFC this year. I know I know that you talk about the Niners. I know Casey loves the Niners, but I just think Detroit's more complete.
And see, I actually like the Packers this year.
I think they're certainly going to be competitive.
Did you see that's with Jordan Love? They told said, listen, whatever you do, don't talk about his contract. Don't bring it up. You bring the contract up, we're going to stop the interview. It's going to stop. So of course, the second person to question is, "Oh, tell us about your contract." And the guy said, "That's it. And let's go." So that one stupid asked that question that they said not to ask.
I think Josh Jacobs could be comeback player in that offense.
How about this, Ross, as an over-under? Will Dr. Dan Ratner be a Cleveland Browns fan at any point during the season?
Yes.
0.5.
Yes.
No,
well, hold on.
Yes?
Well, they might play. Do they play the Patriots?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Or the Ravens. So yes,
you'll
be a Browns fan for at least
no. But it's got to be a true fan. It's not like I just
guys.
Want
You know what the greatest thing about the Patriots is this: they're going to have a horrible year. They're not going to win 5 games, and I just hate all those Patriot fans that just face for all those years. This is payback year. Patriots are going to be awful. They're going to be
I think they're going to be bad for a very long time because they don't know how to lose.
And guess who plays the Patriots the first game of the year? Just guess.
Detroit.
Cincinnati.
No, Cincinnati. Can't
wait. Arizona State. So Dan,
great. But yes, we're excited for. Yes,
you're not going to be a Browns fan again until Deshaun Watson is no longer on the team.
I agree.
It makes it pretty hard. But I will tell you this: I'm also just not much of a Browns fan in general. They've tortured me and the fans for so long that I'm
bring
just
back
like,
Tim Couch.
Tim Couch,
really?
Still circling around, waiting to be sacked.
No,
he hasn't thrown the ball yet.
The division the Browns are in are so tough, and I get why. I get why you don't have any faith in Cleveland just because of the division with Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh, And Pittsburgh's going to be better too. I mean,
Ross,
I mean, it's the toughest division in
you're the
football.
prognosticator of football and everything Arizona State. Brandon Ayuk asked for a trade. Where do you think he ends up?
I just said it, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, that makes them a pretty scary team then.
Yeah. All right. Chris Atwater says Belichick as GM destroyed that team. Oh, well, all good things must come to an end, Patriots fans.
And just, Belichick is going to be on, I believe he's going to be on Fox. Is that he's going to be in studio before game and pregame and postgame. So, but I think Belichick's going to be coached the following year. And
that'll be Bill, what are you thinking about this team? I don't want to talk about that until after.
Exactly.
I'm just focused on next week.
He won't say anything bad about anybody because he wants a job next season. That's what I'm trying to get to.
We're going to wrap up in a minute, but I think there's a movie coming out about Belichick and the Patriots. Isn't that right? You guys know about this?
Tom Cruise is playing Belichick. Very excited.
That's actually not true. I know who's playing Belichick.
Is it Tommy Lee Jones?
No, I know the person who's playing Belichick. It's
who is it? Chris Atwater?
He's usually no, he's a Broadway actor. Usually, his name is Norbert Leo Butz. Do you know him? That's his name.
That's not a name. Norbert Leo Butz. That's a guy.
Oh, he's been in lots of great things, and he's a great actor, by the way.
I'm sure he is, but why doesn't he have a different
Norbert Leo Butz?
Hey,
don't you think somebody should say like, "Hey, maybe you should change your name for out of show business"?
Wasn't there Norbert and
Norbit? I mean,
I'm telling you, he carries it off with confidence.
Didn't Eddie Murphy play a character in a movie named Norbit or something?
Named Norbit. Yes.
Good one, Case. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean but he's gonna play Bill Belichick, so I can't wait to see how that goes. Now, Chris Atwater did note, back to baseball for a second. Suarez allowed 3 runs on 4 hits in 1/3 of an inning. That's the kind of annoying closer of the week we're talking about, Chris. Thank you for
That's good.
that. Then Chris said, "Did you guys see Belichick completely trash May on the Pat McAfee show?
No, I
prior
didn't.
To the draft.
I haven't. Chris, I'm sorry, but I can't watch Pat McAfee. He just causes me to throw up in my mouth a little bit when I hear him.
I don't like him. It's something he just rubs me the wrong way. I agree.
I'm sure he's had some great segments or hilarious segments, but I just can't do it.
I just find him so arrogant. I just can't watch the guy. I don't. He's not likable to me.
Yeah.
Well, and either Shannon Sharp too. I don't like him either.
Shannon Sharp, he's definitely a talker.
With
definitely
him and Skip Bayless on the same show.
Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless.
Has there been a worse show?
Skip Bayless makes my eyes twitch. He's I can't stand watching him.
I like Dan Patrick. I think he's smart and funny. Scott Farrell, I think he's the best. I mean, there's people I like to watch and listen to. They make me laugh. They have great points of view. The other ones are just a bunch of bozos running around, but that's me.
I mean, they're no Ross the Boss, but they're pretty good.
No.
Guys, we're going to wrap up for today, but in 2 weeks, and actually next week, we'll probably have information on when our NFL previews are going to come out, but we're still doing baseball as well, so tune in. Stay with us because it's that time of the season. Just like Casey said, this is the grind. You got to stick with it.
I will give you a little nugget who I'm picking first, and if I get the first pick in our fantasy league, it will be McCaffrey of the 49ers. Is that a big shock?
Wow, you're really going out on a limb on that one.
All right, Chris Atwater says, thanks, guys. Great show. Thanks for being here with us, Chris. It's great to be here with you all. We look forward to seeing you next week. Casey and Ross will be here for their waiver wire show on Tuesday. That's 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. This Thursday strategy show, also 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, except we had a late start today. My apologies about that. And we look forward to seeing you then. All right, everybody.